medieval castle you can walk into for free, a tiny island with the clearest water in Spain, colorful streets that look like they were designed for a film set, and one of the best beaches on the entire Mediterranean right in the city center. Alicante is everything you want from a Spanish coastal city, and most people fly right over it on their way to somewhere else. Big mistake. Stay with me, I've got 25 reasons why. 1. Santa Bárbara Castle. Start at the top, literally. Santa Bárbara Castle sits on a rocky hill 166 meters above the city, and the view from up there is one of those moments that immediately justifies the entire trip. You can see everything, the coastline curving away in both directions, the old town spreading below you, Tabarca Island on the horizon, and the deep blue Mediterranean stretching as far as you can see. Here's the best part. Entry to the castle's completely free. The only thing you pay for is the elevator if you don't want to walk. That's about $3 US, 2.7 euro for a round trip, accessed from a tunnel entrance across from Postiguet Beach. Or just walk up through the Barrio de Santa Cruz. The path takes 30 to 40 minutes, but the views open up bit by bit the whole way. The castle was built in the 9th century and covers the entire summit of the mountain, which makes it one of the largest medieval fortresses in Europe. Insider tip. About halfway up the walking route, there's a wooden walkway that leads to a secluded lookout point. One of those spots that barely gets mentioned anywhere. It's quieter than the top, the views are slightly different, and on a clear morning, it's genuinely one of the most beautiful places in Alicante. Don't rush past it. 2. Explanada de España. Run along the waterfront at the heart of the city. The Explanada de España is Alicante's signature promenade and one of the most recognizable stretches of pavement in Spain. What makes it distinctive is the mosaic floor. Over 6 million marble tiles laid in a wave pattern of red, black, and cream that ripples underfoot as you walk. Palm trees line the whole length, outdoor cafes spill out onto the walkway, and at any hour of the day, there are people strolling, reading, eating ice cream, or simply sitting in the wooden chairs watching the city go by. It's completely free to walk, and the whole length takes about 20 minutes at a relaxed pace. This is the purest expression of the Spanish art of doing nothing productively, and you should absolutely try it. Insider tip. Come early morning, around 8 to 9 a.m. for the best photos with almost nobody in frame. The light at this hour hits the mosaic tiles beautifully, and you'll have the palm trees practically to yourself. By midday, it's packed shoulder to shoulder. 3. Alicante beaches. Let's be direct. The beaches in Alicante are better than Barcelona's. Cleaner, wider, with clear water and a more relaxed vibe that doesn't feel like a tourist production. Playa del Postiguet is right in the front of the city, convenient, lively, and backed by a dramatic outline of the castle on the hill above. But it gets crowded on weekends. For a genuinely excellent beach day, take the tram north to Playa de San Juan. Wide, long, uncrowded on weekdays, with bars and restaurants that serve proper local paella right by the water. Both beaches are completely free, with sunbeds available to rent. Insider tip. Playa de San Juan is where Alicante locals actually go on weekends. The tram from the city center takes about 20 minutes and costs around $2 US, 1.8 euro each way. Head there on a weekday if you can and find a spot near the Chiringuitos at the northern end for the best beachside food. 4. Barrio de Santa Cruz. Tucked directly below the castle walls, the Barrio de Santa Cruz is the oldest and most atmospheric neighborhood in Alicante, and one of the most photogenic streets you'll find anywhere on the Costa Blanca. Whitewashed houses are covered in flowering pots, brightly painted doors open onto narrow staircase alleys, and around every corner there's another view worth stopping for. It has the kind of unself-conscious beauty that takes decades to accumulate. Locals have tended these houses and their plants for generations, and it shows. Budget a couple of hours to get genuinely lost here, and don't rush it. Completely free to wander. Insider tip. The neighborhood is quietest and most atmospheric in the early morning and late evening. Midday in summer can get oppressively hot in the narrow alleys since there's limited shade. Go early or after 6 p.m. and you'll have much of it to yourself. 5. Alicante Food Tour. If you want to understand what Alicante actually tastes like, a guided food tour is the shortcut to skipping all the tourist traps and going straight to the good stuff. Alicante has its own distinct food identity. This is the home of turrón, the almond nougat Spain runs on at Christmas, rice dishes that rival Valencia's, fresh Mediterranean seafood, and local wines from the Alicante Doux that most visitors never discover. A good food tour takes you through 3 or 4 local stops, explains what you're eating and why it matters, and leaves you with a mental map of where to eat for the rest of your trip. Tours typically run around $55 to $75 US, 50 to 68 euro per person, with all food and drinks included. Insider tip. Book this for day 1 or 2. The restaurant recommendations alone are worth the price. Your guide will tell you exactly which spots are actually good and which ones are tourist traps, and that changes how you eat for the entire rest of your trip. 6. Tabarca Island. About 11 miles offshore from Alicante sits Tabarca, Spain's smallest inhabited island and easily one of the best half-day trips on the entire Mediterranean coast. The island is tiny, you can walk its full length in 20 minutes, but the water around it's in a different league. Tabarca was designated Spain's first marine reserve in 1986, which means the sea life here is extraordinary. The water's so clear that you could see fish from the boat before you even get in. The old village with its whitewashed houses and 18th century walls is lovely to wander, and lunch at one of the small waterfront restaurants is one of those simple, perfect travel experiences. The ferry from Alicante runs from around $21 US, 19 euro return. For the full experience, book a 6-hour catamaran cruise that includes a homemade paella lunch on board and snorkeling equipment for around $79 to $93 US, 72 to 84 euro. Insider tip. Go on a weekday if possible. Tabarca gets genuinely packed on summer weekends, and the island is small enough that crowds noticeably change the experience. An early morning ferry and returning in the afternoon is the optimal rhythm. 7. Mercado Central de Alicante. Alicante's Mercado Central is the real deal, a proper working market where locals buy their fish, vegetables, and cured meats with all the noise, color, and sensory overload that comes with it. The building has 2 levels that most visitors miss entirely. Head downstairs where you find the best produce stands and the freshest fruit piled high in pyramids of color. Then, find the outdoor terrace at the back of the market, lined with flower stalls and small cafes, which is almost completely unknown to tourists and is one of the nicest spots in the city for a quiet coffee, completely free to browse. Insider tip. Go between 8 and 11 a.m. on a weekday when the market's at its most vibrant and everything's its freshest. The fish stalls in particular are spectacular. Alicante's proximity to the sea means what's on display was in the Mediterranean yesterday. 8. Alfresco dining in Barrio de Santa Cruz. One of the greatest pleasures of being in Alicante is eating outside, and the Barrio de Santa Cruz is where this experience peaks. The neighborhood's open plazas are surrounded by restaurants and bars with terrace seating that feels effortlessly right. Palm trees overhead, warm evening air, a glass of local Alicante wine, and the castle lit up on the hill above you. It's not a specific restaurant you need to find, it's a whole neighborhood to settle into. Budget around $20 to $35 US, 18 to 32 euro per person for a full dinner with drinks at one of the Barrio terraces. Insider tip. Aim to be seated by 9 p.m. for the full local experience. Eating before 8:30 in Alicante marks you as a tourist immediately. The best terraces fill up fast on summer evenings. Walk through the neighborhood first and pick the one with the best energy before you sit down. 9. Alicante's churches. 2 churches in Alicante are worth going out of your way for, and they couldn't be more different from each other. The Basilica de Santa Maria is the oldest church in the city, built on the ruins of a former mosque, with a wildly ornate Baroque facade that seems too elaborate for the narrow street it's tucked into. Step inside, and it's calm, cool, and genuinely beautiful. The co-cathedral of St. Nicholas, a short walk away, is the opposite. A restrained Renaissance exterior gives way to an interior dominated by a breathtaking blue dome that fills the whole space with colored light. Both are free to enter. Insider tip. The co-cathedral of St. Nicholas is one of those places that surprises people completely. The exterior gives nothing away. Go at midday when the light comes through the dome at its most dramatic. Allow about 20 minutes each, and combine them into a single loop through the Old Town. 10. Carrer Castaños nightlife. If you want to experience how Alicante actually goes out, not the tourist bar strip, but the streets where locals spend their evenings, Carrer Castaños is the answer. This is one of the liveliest and most genuine nightlife streets in the city, lined with bars, restaurants, and cafes with outdoor seating that gradually fills from early evening onward, building into full-on street-level energy by midnight. You can hop between spots, try different wines and cocktails, and let the night develop on its own terms. Spain goes out late. Locals don't usually head out before 10 p.m., and Carrer Castaños keeps going well past 2 a.m. on weekends. Drinks run the usual range from around $4 to $12 US, 3.5 to 11 euro, depending on what you're having. Insider tip. Start with a glass of local Alicante Monastrell wine at one of the terrace bars before moving to cocktails later in the evening. The Monastrell grape is Alicante's signature variety, and you won't find it nearly as good anywhere else. It'd be a shame to miss it. 11. Valor Chocolate Shop. On the Explanada, with both indoor and outdoor seating right along the promenade, the Valor Chocolate Cafe is one of those guilt-free indulgences that Alicante practically demands of you. Valor is one of Spain's most respected chocolate brands. Founded in the 1800s, and this cafe does the full sweet treat menu. Milkshakes, crepes, cakes, brownies, and their famous thick hot chocolate. It's rich, it's unapologetic, and seating at an outdoor table on the Explanada with a coffee and something chocolate covered while watching people pass is a deeply pleasant way to spend 30 minutes. Budget around $6 to $10 US, 5 to 9 euro per person. 12. Churros at Churreria Calderon. For the best churros of Alicante, skip the tourist spots and go to Churreria Calderon, on Calle Calderón de la Barca, directly opposite of the Mercado Central. This is a no-frills local cafe with paper napkins, plastic chairs, and churros that have been made the same way for decades. They also serve porras, a thicker, softer version of the churro that's even better for dunking. The chocolate here is proper thick dipping chocolate, not the thin, watery version you'll find at tourist spots. A full serving with chocolate costs around $4 to $5 US, 3 to 4 euro. Insider tip. Quick heads up for first-timers, Spanish churros aren't coated in sugar the way you might expect. They're unsweetened. The sweetness comes entirely from the chocolate you dip them in. Go early morning when they come straight out of the fryer and the locals are still eating breakfast. 13. Alicante Bull Ring. Alicante's historic bull ring hasn't hosted a bullfight in years. Today, it's a multi-purpose venue that puts on concerts, tennis matches, and even an ice rink in winter. But the building itself is genuinely fascinating architecturally, and a guided tour with an audio guide takes you through the ring, the stables, the arena floor, and the museum covering the history of both the building and bullfighting in Spain. It's one of those experiences that gives you a window into a very specific part of Spanish cultural history, whether you agree with what happened here or not. Tours run around $8 to $10 US, 7 to 9 euro per person. Insider tip. The audio guide makes the tour genuinely worthwhile. Without it, you're just walking around a circular building. With it, the layers of history open up significantly. Allow about an hour. 14. Alicante's museums. Alicante has 4 museums that are worth your time, and between them they cover basically every dimension of the city's history and culture. Marc, the Museo Arqueológico, is the most impressive, covering the region from prehistory to modern times with genuine excellent interactive displays. The Museo de Hogueras gives you the full story of Las Hogueras de San Juan, Alicante's extraordinary midsummer bonfire festival that rivals Las Fallas in Valencia for sheer spectacle ambition. For art, the Macca Contemporary Art Museum has works by Spanish icons, and the Gravina Museum of Fine Arts covers regional art from the 16th to 20th centuries. Marc entry runs around $4 €3, with the others ranging from free to a few euros. Insider tip: Marc is the standout. It's one of the best regional archaeological museums in Spain and consistently undervisited. Give it 2 hours on a hot afternoon, and you'll come out genuinely surprised by how deep Alicante's history goes. 15. Casita de las Macetas Azules. In the maze of the Barrio de Santa Cruz on Calle de Zaragoza, there's a small white house that's become one of the most photographed spots in Alicante, the Casita de las Macetas Azules. The little house of the blue flower pots is exactly what it sounds like. A modest whitewashed house covered from ground to rooftop in vivid blue ceramic pots, each one planted and tended with care. It's a genuinely lovely spot, completely free to photograph, and the kind of thing that stops you mid-stride when you come around the corner and see it for the first time. There will likely be a small line. Leave a coin in the donation box if you have change. Insider tip: go early morning before 9 a.m. for a clean shot without a crowd. The blue pots photograph beautifully in the morning light, and the narrow street is completely quiet at that hour. By 10 a.m., the queue starts forming. 16. Calle de las Setas. This one needs no build-up. There's a street in Alicante lined with giant cartoon mushroom sculptures. That's the pitch. Calle de las Setas, Mushroom Street, is genuinely one of the more surreal things you'll encounter in a Spanish city, and leaning into the weirdness of it is the right approach. Walk through, take the obligatory photos, and then stop at Vino y Mas at the end of the street, a small wine bar with barrel tables, excellent local wine, and both indoor and outdoor seating that's perfect for a glass and a moment to appreciate the fact that a city decided to line a street with giant fungi. Wine by the glass runs around $4 to $7, $3.5 to €6. Insider tip: Vino y Mas is genuinely good, not just a novelty stop. The local Alicante wines they pour are well chosen, and the staff are knowledgeable. It's a great intro to the Monastrell grape if you haven't tried it yet. 17. Villajoyosa. About 30 minutes north of Alicante by tram, or less by car, Villajoyosa is one of those towns that earns its place on a list on pure visual impact alone. The houses along the seafront have been painted in vivid colors for centuries, the original purpose being that fishermen needed to identify their homes from far out at sea. Today, the effect is extraordinary. A strip of tangerine, cobalt, lemon yellow, and coral facades rising directly from the waterfront, their reflections glittering in the water below. The beach is good, the old town is charming, and the Valor Chocolate Factory here offers tours of the chocolate-making process with tastings at the end. The tram from Alicante costs around $3, €2.5 each way. Insider tip: walk the entire seafront promenade from one end to the other before exploring the town. The colored facades look different at every angle, and the full sweep of them from the far end is the best view. Go on a weekday when it's considerably quieter than weekends. 18. Palmeral of Elche. 20 minutes from Alicante by bus or train, Elche contains something genuinely unlike anything else in Europe. A UNESCO World Heritage palm grove with over 200,000 trees that fill up an entire section of the city. The Palmeral of Elche, originally planted by the Moors, is a living, working grove that produces dates and provides shade for gardeners, fountains, and walking paths that feel closer to North Africa than to Spain. The highlight is the Huerto del Cura, a private garden within the grove that's home to the extraordinary imperial palm, a 170-year-old tree that's divided into 8 trunks from a single base, creating something almost architectural in its scale. Entry to Huerto del Cura is around $5 US, €4.50. The wider Palmeral is free. Insider tip: combine Elche with a visit to the local market or the Misteri Delt Museum. The town has more going on than just the palm grove, and a half day here rewards a bit more time than just a quick look at the trees. 19. Day trip to Benidorm. Benidorm gets a bad rap, and some of it's deserved. It's unambiguously touristy, heavily developed, and overwhelmingly popular with British package holidaymakers. But here's the thing: the beaches are genuinely excellent. Playa de Levante and Playa de Poviente are wide, long, clean, and backed by the dramatic skyline of high-rises that gives Benidorm its unmistakable silhouette. The water's clear and the beach infrastructure's well organized. Go knowing what it is, enjoy the good parts, and come back to Alicante in the evening. The tram from Alicante all the way to Benidorm is one of the most scenic coastal rides in Spain and costs around $4 US, €3.50 each way. Insider tip: take the tram rather than driving. The coastal route passes through several smaller towns, and the views from the sea-facing side are excellent. The journey takes about an hour and is genuinely a nice part of the experience. 20. Canelobre Caves. About 25 kilometers from Alicante, carved into limestone that formed 145 million years ago, the Canelobre Caves are one of the most spectacular natural attractions in the Valencia region, and barely on most tourists' radar. The cave system sits 700 meters above sea level and contains one of the tallest cave vaults in Spain, a cathedral-like chamber 70 meters high, filled with stalactites and stalagmites illuminated by carefully designed colored lighting that makes the whole interior look almost theatrical. During World War II, the caves were used as an aircraft engine repair facility by the Spanish Republican forces, which adds a genuinely interesting layer of history to the visit. The tour includes a stop in the nearby village of Bujot. Day tours from Alicante, including transfer, run around $67 to $70 US, 60 to 64 euro per person. Insider tip: the caves maintain a constant temperature of around 12 degrees Celsius year-round. Bring a layer even in summer, because stepping out of 35-degree heat into 12-degree darkness is a genuine shock. The tour takes about 2 hours total, including the village stop. 21. Ocean Race Museum. At the far end of Alicante's port, right where the marina opens up to the sea, the Ocean Race Museum is one of the genuinely best free things to do in the city. The Ocean Race, formerly the Volvo Ocean Race, is one of the toughest sailing competitions in the world, and Alicante serves as its starting point, which gives the museum a very direct connection to the race it documents. Inside, you can climb aboard an actual racing yacht, try a sailing simulator, explore interactive exhibits about the crews and boats, and understand just how extreme this competition actually is. It's engaging, even if you know nothing about sailing going in, and free. Insider tip: time your visit around a race village event if you can. Alicante hosts the race start every other year, and when the village is active, the whole port area transforms into an extraordinary spectacle with boats, events, and a unique atmosphere of a genuine world-class sporting competition. 22. Catamaran Cruise. Getting out onto the Mediterranean from Alicante is one of those experiences that completely changes how you feel about the city. A 3-hour coastal catamaran cruise takes you along the coastline, past the castle and the beaches, and out to Cape Huertas, with open water swimming stops, snorkeling equipment, and cold drinks on deck. The views back toward the city from the water, the castle on the hill, the Explanada, the curve of Postiguet Beach are genuinely beautiful and impossible to replicate from land. Standard 3-hour cruises run from around $46 US, 42 euro per person. Insider tip: the sunset cruise is the move if your schedule allows. Watching the sun drop behind the mountains while you're on the water with a drink in hand is one of those Alicante moments that earns its place in the memory. Book a day ahead in summer when slots fill up quickly. 23. Buquebus Harbor Cruise. This is the low-key, spontaneous version of getting on the water, and sometimes that's exactly right. The bouquet bus is a short 35-minute harbor tour that doesn't venture far from the port, but gives you a completely different angle on the city, the castle, and the coastline from the water. It's casual, it's relaxed, and at just $6 US, €5 per person, it's one of the best value experiences in Alicante. Jump on it in the afternoon when you want to change a pace, a breeze, and a different perspective without committing to a half-day excursion. Insider tip. This is a great option for families with young kids or anyone who just wants a quick taste of being on the water without the commitment of being on a longer cruise. The evening departures are particularly pleasant as the city lights start to come on. 24. Avenida Maisonave shopping. Alicante is a genuinely good shopping city, and Avenida Maisonave is the spine of it. This wide pedestrian boulevard is lined with all the major Spanish brands, Zara, Mango, Oysho, Massimo Dutti, plus El Corte Inglés at one end covering everything else. What makes shopping here different from doing the same thing at home is the range of things that are actually different in Spain. The seasonal collections arrive differently, prices on Spanish brands are often better here than abroad, and the style sensibility has its own character. Budget what you like, the browsing is free. Insider tip. For something more original than the high street brands, Rusafa-style independent boutiques are scattered throughout the old town streets around Plaza Gabriel Miró. Spanish ceramics, leathered goods, and local artisan food make the best souvenir from this part of the country. 25. Parasailing. We're ending on a high note, literally 150 meters above the Mediterranean. Parasailing over the Alicante coastline is one of those bucket list experiences that's considerably less terrifying than it sounds, and considerably more spectacular than you'd expect. You get strapped in, lifted off the back of the boat, and suddenly, you're hanging above the sea with the whole Costa Blanca spread out below you. The castle, the beaches, the city, and the mountains behind it all. The flight lasts around 15 minutes and the instructors handle everything, no experience needed. Parasailing experiences, including the boat ride, typically run around $65 to $77 US, 59 to €70 per person. Insider tip. Up to 5 people can parasail together, which makes it a brilliant group activity. Early morning flights offer the clearest visibility before any sea haze builds up and the water below is calmer, which helps if you're nervous about taking off and landing. That's all 25! And if you made it this far, you're already planning your trip. So let me just say, Alicante delivers. The castle, the beaches, the food, the day trips. It's a city that punches well above its reputation. If this helped you plan, hit like and subscribe for more Spain content. Drop a comment with which activity you're most excited about. I read every one. See you in the next video.
Say